Amen. Okay. Good morning, Chevra. We are on page 83 in the Chayenu. Today is the 19th day of Elul. We took in Shabbos early, but it's already, we passed the 7 o'clock threshold. But you can come for the Kumsitz at 6 o'clock. Nice party. Oh, that's true. Good point. So come have a little herring, a l'chaim, and then you go. That's a good point. Okay. Today's the 19th day of Elul. And today's quite lengthy. I don't know if we're going to get to everything. Wow. It's one of the longest, huh? Yeah. It's very, very long today. We'll do the best we can. In today's lesson, today, page 83. We have an elaboration on the various characteristics, the midas within human intellect and the human intellect and the soul. Okay. Now, as regards to the totality of the 10 spheres as they appear in the soul of man, it's known to all, generally speaking, that the emotive attributes divide into 7 general categories. By the way, as we know, we're in the month of Elul, and Motzei Shabbos we're going to do Slichas. We have an opportunity to give personally somebody who's collecting tzedakah. He's in the back of the room. If you want to do a little bit extra today, it would be a bigger mitzvah. Okay. So generally, the emotive attributes divide into 7 general categories. And each of the particular attributes in man derive from one of these 7 attributes. By the way, how many times we wrap tefillin on our arm? Relating to these 7 attributes. Did you know that? Well, now you do. Shehein sheiresh kol amidos uchlaluson. For there, I said a bracha already, just in case you're wondering. I don't know, but I woke up with a little sore throat, so let's see if we can. And we have the longest.
This week, Marsha, it says your enemy will come from 7 different directions.
Oh, exactly. Okay, so namely, what are these midas? Namely, the attribute of chesed, loving kindness, which is a thrust to diffuse benevolence to all without limit. So mainly we have, and we should try to exude and well, the word is not experience, but to give off and use this chesed that we have, this loving kindness. The attribute of gvura, which is stern, limitation, contraction, more stringent judgment, which seeks to restrain such a degree of diffusion or to withhold altogether from certain individuals. Again, gvura doesn't necessarily mean, it's not at all a negative thing. It means being on time and being midaktik on things and being tough on yourself to make sure you step up and do the right thing.
Or if you think this person might be a scammer, don't give.
Can't say that today, but yeah. And then we have the attribute of rachamim, compassion, mercy, which seeks to pity a person to whom compassion is appropriate. So that's the perfect balance. Yes, I want to help you, I want to give, but it's going to be with gvura, within limitation, but I'm still giving. So have compassion, rachmanos on you. Rachmim is the mediating attribute between gvura and chesed. possibly and hopefully the perfect fusion and combination. You want to help everyone. Oh, I just had a conversation with my brother yesterday. Myron taught us years and years ago, you can't save the world. I didn't like that. But here's the point. If you stretch yourself out too thin, you won't be able to help anybody. You're going to be bedraggled and exhausted and you'll feel burnt out. You have to pick and choose and carefully watch your time and your limit. Tafas, exactly. And especially when it comes to somebody who doesn't come across as the nicest person and is schlepping at you and everything else, to him you can still have rachamim, you can still have rachmanus. In as much as he lacks nothing and is in no state of trouble whatsoever. Because the attribute of chesed is unlimited, it desires to benefit even someone who lacks nothing. Remember what we said last night? That Hashem is going to bless you? And you're like, I don't know, I don't want to take those blessings. Hashem's going to chase you down and give you those blessings no matter what. So sometimes people think, I don't lack anything. Those people need the most rachmanus because they don't even realize that they think they have everything, but they're maybe focused on the wrong everything that they have. So Rachmanus pleads the cause for any individual who is in a pitiable state, however unworthy he may be. The attribute of Rachamim is the mediating attribute. So therefore it's called Tiferes beauty. Big day Tiferes al derech mashal, by analogy with beautiful garments. What is beautiful garments? Shubeged savua bigvonim harbe bayrovim boy b'derech shu Tiferes v'noi. Yeah. V'gaimer? I don't know over here. It looks like a nun, but it's probably v'gaimer, no? V'noi? Oh, maybe it is v'noi. Which are dyed with many colors, blended in a way that gives rise to beauty and decoration. So you have a beautiful garment, what do you do? To a garment dyed in one color, one cannot apply the term Tiferes, beauty. And since the attribute of Rachamim is compounded of Chesed and Gvura, the term Tiferes is appropriate. So when you have one color, if something is just plain gray, plain black, plain white, whatever it is, it's nice. It's not beautiful. And it's something which is very beautifully colored. Here it says dyed with many colors. I don't know, the kids got back into tie-dye. Right? That's the latest, it's not the latest thing, because we did it when we were kids. But it's making a comeback. So when you use all these different colors, it looks beautiful. And that's when you use Chesed and Rachamim together, it's a perfect, beautiful blend.
Yes.
Yosef or Yosef's coat? Maybe it's Yaakov. Yaakov is the blend. Chesed, Abraham, Yitzchak, Gevura, and Yaakov is Tiferes. I know, it's the coat that threw you off. Afterwards, one of the attributes of either Chesed or Gevura Tiferes is aroused to dispense benevolence as the diffusion is realized. Hainu, this is at the time of actual diffusion. Hashpa. It's necessary to deliberate how to diffuse in such a way that the recipient will be able to absorb the fusion. So you want to be nice. or a stupid example would be, person's cup is full and you're like, here, take more water, and he's spilling all over the place. That doesn't make sense. So here's an example that Tanya gives. When one wishes, and he has a powerful desire to teach to his son. I hope this doesn't get back to Shalom, but I want to learn with the kids, they're like, they'll learn in class, they'll learn with their teacher, but sometimes they're not ready. You have to pick and choose and do it the right way. If I want to teach my son everything that I'm learning, he's not on that level yet, and he won't be able to receive it. He won't be able to absorb it. This could happen either A, because the concept as understood by the father is too abstract and too subtle for the son, and needs to be lent a more tangible garb, such as a mashal, a parable, it's explained at a lower level, or B, because the concept is too comprehensive and too diverse and needs to be broken down into digestible segments, only some of which will be presented to the son. So if you try to give him everything, he's going to get nothing. Right? Or the one needs to arrange it from him in a different order and context, such as providing an example from an alternative context. And by the way, this works this way in many, many different areas. People that win the lottery, they go broke. It's too much, they can't handle it. Or if you give a kid, everything that he has from his bar mitzvah money, he'll just spend it right away. You give him piece by piece. That's another example. Food, you give a person, chas v'shalom, after the camps were liberated, and these guys were starving, you give them food, they were dying because they were just ingesting the food too fast, and their stomach couldn't handle it. Got to give it little by little. It has to be in the right way at the right time. Davar v'davar al oifnov. Every word fitly spoken, presented first one side of the issue, then the other side, ma'at, little by little. And then the person will understand the concept as they grow older, as they understand better. This deliberation regarding how best to present a concept is referred to by the terms of netzach and hoid. So these are the different attributes of a person that the Alter Rebbe is starting to flesh out to be able to. He's doing the same thing to us, and the Alter Rebbe gets all of them in one shot. But he's slowly explaining them to us in different mishalim. Shehein klalus yoy atzois. These attributes are kidneys that advise, in a manner similar to their counterpart. Right? Kidneys cleanse and filter the blood. What?
They basically clean out the
impurities.
Right, they clean out the zero from the impurities, so that when it comes out, it's
I don't know why we have to go there. Let's talk about the blood.
That is the main purpose of the kit.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That's the motion we use. Right?
Well, that's what it says here, right?
Right. So basically, what it means is that chesed and gevura in themselves are just pure expressions of kindness and gevura. It's like I want to get okay. What you have to figure? Okay, I want to give this guy. Okay, how are you going to give that? You have to give it in a way. How are you going to give it in a way that's going to be productive for this guy? That is netzach right there. Netzach is the usual concept of chesed to decide how can I give this chesed in a way that's beneficial.
Do me a favor, I'm not going to get into that because this gets a little complicated. You can read it on your own. Page 86, halfway down. V'gam netzach v'hoid nikraim shchokim v'rechayim sheshechakim min mon latzadikim. Netzach and hoid are also referred to as grinders and millstones because they grind the manna for the righteous, like the heaven, which is named shchokim for grinds, shechakim the manna for the righteous. Toichein chitim v'rechayim, just as by way of example, a person who grinds wheat with millstones crumbles it into very fine parts. So too, when the father is teaching the son or the teacher is teaching the student, is to grind down the deep concept into simple, tangible, understandable parts. Okay, and then we have, dividing a concept in this way so as to be able to determine what should be presented and what should be withheld is a contraction of the concept's depth. So netzach and hoid serve to contract its length, breadth, and depth, the concept in all its dimensions. V'gam b'chalal b'chinas netzach, second paragraph on page 87. V'gam b'chalal b'chinas netzach u'lanatzeach v'lamoid neged kol meinei lashpia halimud mibnoi mibayis u'michutz. The category of netzach also comprises prevailing and standing up against anything from inside and from outside that withholds his son the transmission of beneficial influence or learning. You have to make sure that his mind is clear, but also he's in a good environment. That nobody's disturbing him, nobody's bullying him. So from inside and outside. So here, from within means firmly resisting the attribute of gvura and tzimtzum within the father himself. For it arouses within his will contention against his son. Why aren't you understanding what I'm telling you? Why don't you sit and learn? I want to learn with you. Whatever, I don't know if that's a perfect example. And a person might say, I'm not even going to teach my son because he's not yet fit for this profound knowledge. He's too young, he won't understand. So there now follows a parenthetical note in which the text states like as follows. According to some of the manuscripts which are compared to the previous printed editions in the Igeres HaKodesh, when the current edition was being prepared for publication, there is an omission here in the text. Alter Rebbe goes on to explain the attribute of Yisoid. So what's Yisoid? B'chinas Yisoid hi al derech mashal haiskashrus shemekasher ha'av sichle b'seichel b'noi. This is a deep, deep, powerful concept. Yisoid, foundation. By way of example, the bond by which the father binds his intellect to the intellect of his son. How? B'shas limudai imai, when a father loves his son so much. Be'ahava v'ratzai, shedoitze lahavin b'noi. Slicha, we're trying to learn. And he wishes his son to understand with such a, he's really working hard on it. V'livladei zeh gam im hoya haben shemer diburei elu atzmam v'pi aviv shemedaber ba'adei v'leimer la'atzmai. Without this bond, even if the son would hear the very same words from the mouth of his father, and he speaks and he studies to himself, because the father is so emotionally given over to his son and wants his son and wills his son to understand, this allows his son to open up and be able to ingest the knowledge. The father binds his intellect, his mind. His father binds his intellect to his son. He speaks to them face to face with love and desire because he wants very much that his son should understand this concept. Obviously, we're talking about in Torah learning. I hope. So the father does not merely want to enlighten his son, that's his own will. But his desire stems from Yisoid, and it's very, very powerful because it's driven by pleasure. This is the holy handwriting of the Tzemach Tzedek of blessed memory in the Maimer Ki Yadaitiv. Okay, so the reason for this admission, not only is there a difference between A, what the son passively absorbs when he hears his father studying independently, and B, what he absorbs when his father actively teaches him, but even when the father is actually teaching, the presence or absence of the quality of Yisoid will determine whether or not the son is able to really and truly understand and have this fire burning within him. So without Yisoid, it's either the son is listening to the father teach, but he's just hearing the words, or he's trying to understand, but he's not going to reach the level of Yisoid the way his father gave it over with such passion and such love and such deep connection to his son. Choma sha'achishek v'atainu gadol kach hashpa v'halimud gadol. And the greater the desire and delight of the father, the greater is the influence and the learning. So I just have to be a little vulnerable here and say that I'm sure I learned this before, probably many times, but I never learned it this way. At least it didn't affect me this way. And I want to run with it. And the next time I learn with my son, I want to make sure it's coming from the right place, not just that. Let's go, open up the book and learn, and I'm trying to teach him, versus that deep, deep father-son bond and connection. And we could all do it. We should all try to do it. In Steve's case, father-daughter. Shabein yuchal, or the grandchildren. Shabein yuchal lekabel yoser v'ha'av mashpia yoser. Because then the son is able to absorb more, and the father communicates more. Got it? You can try it? Through this desire and delight, with contented disposition, his own insight is heightened and amplified. When you come at it with such a chayis and a love, the kid feels it. He says, he becomes one with it. He knows, he just... you transmit it. It's more than words can even say. Okay, I don't want to get too far. All right. Okay, that's as far as Yesod is concerned. What else are we going to do here? Go towards the end. Last line of page 89. Second to last line. Third to last line. The source and root of these internal and external emotive attributes. So we talked about Netzach, Chayt, and Yesod. We touched on Chesed and Gvura and Tiferes in the beginning, and we hit the second three, Netzach, Chayt, Yesod. We didn't even talk about Chachma and Das much today. But the source and root of these internal and external emotive attributes, Chachma Bina Das Shabanafshay, is the Chachma, the wisdom, the knowledge, and Bina, the understanding, and Das, they're all similar words, but Chachma is the flash, the initial concept and idea. Bina is Lahavin, to truly, thoroughly understand it, and Das, when it becomes one with you. So that's when you're teaching it to your children, and you're passing it on, you're like, how am I going to teach this? Bina is to really thoroughly understand it, and Das is when you give it over with such love, because it's a part of you, and now it becomes a part of him or her. For a person's emotive traits are in proportion to his intellect. We see this in actuality. With a child, for example, who's Chachma Bina Das, when he's thinking about something and he becomes one with that concept, these are not deep, intellectual, deep concepts, right? And so too all of his emotive traits. He relates to things, and if I give you $1, what are you going to buy? Candies. Their level is not yet of the level that they can, they're not striving for deep intellectual or meaningful understandings just yet. They're not there yet, and they will get there. And we have a chance to be part of that maturation process with giving over the right ideals, the faith, the belief, the emunah, bitachon, and Torah, mitzvahs, and everything else. What happens when we become adults? With adults too, their emotive traits develop in proportion to the intellect. According to his intelligence is a man praised. So you see, some people are just shallow, they're petty. They're not focused on the right things. They're more worried about things that are irrelevant. I don't want to pick on anything in particular, but we all know what we're talking about here. And whatever, according to, okay. So what the Alter Rebbe is explaining is based on his level of intelligence, that's how he's going to express his attributes. He's going to be loving the wrong things if his intellect is not focused on the right things, on the real things, on the heart of the matter, so to speak, on the neshama, on the things that are truly spiritual and important to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and really to you. If we explained it in a certain way, we'd say, you know what, those things are not so important. This thing is very important. I think Charlie Kirk kind of figured that out. He was really tapped into what was truly important. The essence, he said, if I want to be remembered by my faith, he was it's just, certain things were just very, very powerful. We've all been thinking about this in the last 48 hours. All his other internal and external traits, likewise, have their source in his Chacham Bina Das. Most important to the development of the spiritual emotions is one's Das, which derives from one's Chachma and Bina. It's this faculty, the Chachma and Bina, that is critical to the development of his midas. Imagine, you would think, no, just be kind. Don't worry about the intellectual, that's for the smart people, just be kind. Alter Rebbe was explaining to us, if you have the right mindset, you could be truly kind. Your chesed is in the right place. Your gvura is only when it needs to be. Your tiferes brings everything together perfectly, because the things that matter most, based on what the Eibishter tells us to think about, and based on what the Eibishter tells us to intellectually indulge in, That's what we busy ourselves with. Not frivolous, stupid, pointless things that lead to nowhere. And then our chesed and gvura are also weak. Okay. So finally, this is readily observable, for the differences between emotive traits of various people correspond to the difference in their respective degrees of das. Does that make sense? You can see people that are not deep intellectual thinkers, or at least they're not thinking with the right thoughts on the right ideas. They're thinking of narishkeit. Those people, their chesed is also misplaced, and their gvura is also misplaced. So in order to really be able to have proper chesed, kindness, and proper gvura, and a beautiful tiferes, the beauty of bringing them both harmoniously together, and netzach and hoid and yisoid, and being able to transmit this love of Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu to your children and to others. We have to be an influence to not just our families, but our communities, which are our extended families, and even to the rest of the world. We have to make sure that our Chabad, Chachmin Das, is focused on the right things that the Eibusher wants us to be focused on. So your emotions and goals are a product of your intelligence. Develop your understanding, and it has an effect on your actions. Now, we have a good place to start. This portion right here. You want to affect your actions and your speech and even your thoughts. Learn this over a few times, and it'll certainly have a powerful impact. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbat.